What's going on, people? Welcome back to Curtis Shaw TV, back with another live stream. And today, only one man to join me after beating Manchester City. That's the big man himself, Kevin Campbell, in the building. How are you, brother?
Curtis, I am buzzing. I've got to say, finally, I get back on with you and to talk about Arsenal. And Curtis, it's another good day for us.
It's a good day. And listen, Kev, we've had many, as I always say, we've had many shows where, it was not good times. And you did say, looking back, I think, you know what? There is some wisdom there, Kev. You said it's the players. You said it's got to get worse before it gets better. You said be patient. And so, maybe you knew all along, Kev.
But Curtis, what I will say is this: there a lot of jokes and fun were made about the process and all that. But whichever way we look at it, we have to ride with the process, whether we like it or not.
Yeah.
And the manager's there. He's starting to get his own players, and we discussed it. This was the season, which was really all his own players last season,
Yeah.
and now we're looking to step up again. We ain't playing fantastic football, Curtis, but you know what? I like what I'm seeing out of this team because we can win ugly,
Yeah.
which is what we couldn't do so much last season. We could win
Yeah.
ugly, so I'm very happy with how things are going right now.
Yeah, I mean, we were just saying there off camera. Where was you at the weekend, Kev? I thought you would have been at the Emirates, but where was you working?
Well, believe it or not, Big C and the chat, I was working at the Etihad complex for Man City FC TV. The Arsenal guy, there was one other person in the building who ended up coming out with Izaguna.
Yeah, yeah.
But there was me in enemy territory, people. So the Shetty was parked up nice and close. So there I was in enemy territory. And the second time, the Community Shield was the first. The second time was this Sunday just gone, and we come out victorious. They were not happy, Big C.
Do you know what's so good about that, Kev? In reality, they had you there set up for their thinking City are going to come and roll us. We'll get the reaction of Kevin Campbell. But it never really worked like that, did it?
Well, you could always tell by the predictions. So you got David James,
Yeah.
who totally disrespected us, 3-0 to City. Paul Dickoff, obviously he's an ex-Gooner,
Yeah.
great lad. He said he thinks it's going to be the same score as last year, 3-1.
Yeah.
I said, listen, I want to win so bad, but I said, no Saka as an attacking force. I said, we rely on him a lot. I said, I'll take the draw. I said, I want to win, but I would take the draw because we got no Saka. Give me the win, man. Give me the win.
Grab that and run.
They were not happy, I tell you.
Yeah,
and they got help, Curtis, which I'm sure we'll cover.
Yeah, we'll cover that. Just obviously, big up everyone in the chat. Over 1,000 of you straight away. Make sure you lick down the like button while the numbers build up. I've got, a few notes here, things I want to go through because we haven't had you on the show for a while. So I got to, tap in with Kev. But just in general, before we maybe touch on the Man City game a little bit more, what have you made of the start? Because it's interesting, isn't it, that when you look at it now, we've made a good start, but there've been a couple bits of panic. The Fulham game, the Tottenham game. He changed the system. Partey in there. Gabriel was out and squeezing in Havertz in the team. What have you made of the start in general and the way it's gone in this first set of games?
Curtis, the crazy thing is we've started better than we did last season, points-wise.
Yeah.
And you look at that and you think, wow, that's saying something. But as a team, I don't think we've played obviously as well as we did last season.
Yeah.
And obviously there's a reason for that. Because I think last season our team was set, the 4-3-3 style, the system was there. Everybody knew the our best team. And we started off and people didn't know really what to expect. And we came out the blocks flying. But I've got to say, quietly and assuredly, we've started to find our feet a little bit. And that's sometimes we've got new players as well.
Yeah.
And there's a flexibility to our squad, whether people like certain players or they don't rate this one or that one. We can't complain because we're getting results. And yeah, we have been a little bit leaky at home, Curtis, against Fulham and against Spurs, conceding 2 apiece in those games. I think that probably the most hurtful one wasn't Spurs. The most hurtful one for me was Fulham.
Definitely.
Because they went down to 10 men. They took the lead. We went 2-1 up. They went down to 10 men, and then we let them equalize after that. So, but we know being top of the league right now isn't our end goal. There's players who need to find their feet. We're seeing squad depth finally, which we've wanted for such a long time.
Yeah.
But I think if I said to you, Curtis, and I say to the chat, what do you see for January? I think some firepower will make a massive difference to us.
Yeah.
And I anticipate Edu and Arteta see that as well.
Yeah, we're definitely going to touch on that as well, the firepower. What's interesting, what I thought, I know we've only played 8 league games, but we've got the best defence in the league at the moment. 6 goals conceded. And, you hear these managers. I remember Mourinho always used to say, defences win titles. That's your foundation. Have we really, over the years, especially the last decade as an Arsenal fan, I've never felt secure in our back four. I've always felt like there's goals in there. Have we nailed it at the moment with Gabriel and Saliba, who seem to complement each other so well? They're both in their early mid-20s. What do you think about that? People are calling it the brick wall at the moment.
Well, Curtis, I think to myself, if Saliba never got injured last season, do we win it or go even close? I think we go real close. I think it goes down to the wire, possibly. The fact of the matter is, Rob Holding came in and he's not Saliba. And, against Manchester City away, that showed all the weakness of really what was our strength in Saliba and Gabriel together. Unfortunately, Rob Holding could hold his end of the bargain up. So, again, here we go. I think these two, we've got to be looking at them being together for the next 5 to 7, 8 years.
Yeah,
that's the rock that the Arsenal ship should be built on. I think Ben White has been incredible at right back. Tomiyasu, Zinchenko, whoever you look at, obviously even missing Timber, Curtis, and he's way ahead of schedule by all intents and purposes. So I just think the two centre-halves complement each other so well. I'm hoping, Curtis, and here you go. You're probably going to clip me on this.
Why not?
I'm hoping after the weekend we've cracked it. That mentality at home.
Yeah.
If we could keep City to a 0, we should be going to a lot of these games at home, not having to overextend ourselves defensively. Because at the other end, we will score goals. But it's defensively, we want Fortress Emirates. If we're going to get Fortress Emirates, we need more clean sheets. We get more clean sheets at home, that's where the fear factor comes in. And that's why I'm hoping we have cracked that code, how to defend at home and keep that clean sheet. That's really important for us.
I mean, Kev, you played for Arsenal at a time, George Graham, and we were, famous 1-0 to the Arsenal. And how did it make you feel as a striker when you know, listen, we got a big game today, but I got big man Tony Adams there and that. So I might only have to score one today and that could be enough, you know?
Well, the great thing, Curtis, is you know you're always in a game. You
Yeah.
are always in a game. If you don't concede a lot of goals, you've got the best defense, and they don't give chances away easy. You know, you take the lead 99 times out of 100, Curtis. One, you ain't losing, and the probability is you're going to win the game. That's you've played. That's huge for a player, especially strikers. We
Yeah.
want glory boys. We want to score the winning goals and score goals and be there. But you need to rely on the defense. And I'm really hoping keeping a clean sheet against the best team in the world. Let's
Yeah.
be honest. They are. Missed a couple of players, which no problem. But you still got to defend them. They're still dangerous. They've still got the firepower. And we kept a clean sheet. We kept a 0. This is what we need. We need more of that. Go into all the home games with the same mentality. Go into the Champions League games with the same mentality, because it's not a switch. You can't,
Yeah.
or a tap. You can't turn it off and on. Do the same things, same attitude. Keep those clean sheets, and let's start being that nasty defense that we deserve. Curtis, we deserve it because we've had it before.
Yeah.
Teams don't want to play against us.
I think what's the exciting thing for Arsenal at the moment, and I saw Fitz saying it in the comments, that it doesn't even feel like we're at our best yet in terms of the attack. It still feels like there's another gear we can go. Martinelli's been injured. Saka's, we're saying 2 gears, 3. Put
Yeah,
Partey
1,
back
2,
in.
3. I think we've got 3 gears to go as an attacking force.
Yeah.
The key for me is getting the defense right first. You get the defense right, I tell you what, we can take teams apart, because if you know you're not going to concede, very rarely teams are going to be able to keep us out.
Yeah.
That's for sure. And that's why January is going to be so important. But we're going to touch on that.
We're going to get on that. Don't worry. Hold your fire. Big up everyone locked in. 1,500 of you in here now already. Make sure you hit the like button. Kev's in the building. Listen, we got to talk about the Man City game because, like you said, I watched the game back afterwards as well. It wasn't a classic, but it didn't need to be a classic for us. It was about beating them. And I think the most important thing for me, apart from winning the game, was the clean sheet. Saying to City, look, don't matter if you got Haaland and them, man, you're not scoring today. And, I think you saw the way City acted after the game. They're arguing with the staff. It was all, they're not used to losing, are they? You can tell it hit a nerve a little bit, that defeat.
Curtis, that was bliss to me. Let me tell you why. After the Community Shield, we beat them on penalties. That was more important for us, for Arsenal. Let's be honest. We had Timber in the team, and we flexed our muscles, and we it was a deflected goal there to get us back in the game, and we done them on penalties. Great. Now we hadn't beaten them for all this time in the league. They were coming to our patch where they slapped us last season. They had Haaland, and they had Alvarez, and they had Foden, and they had a lot of their top players, Silver and all these guys. Yeah, there were players missing on both teams, but you've only got to play the team who play each other. And we showed the mentality to tactically go toe-to-toe with them. And that's the manager as well involved in that. Tactically and physically, we went against them. We were playing 12 because the referee was for them. That's how hard our job was. We played 12 because the referee, which should have sent a man off,
of course,
kept him on. So we had to go again. But Curtis, second half, you could see we wanted it. Our 12th man, the fans, played their part. And we got that little slice of luck that we deserve, Curtis. All the substitutes combined to get us that win. And That's what you want subs to do. You want subs to come on and make an impact. And
Yeah.
every single one did. So we take the points, we win the game, and it was vital for us with our aspiration that we beat this Man City team. So now, all of a sudden, you see them kicking off after the game. There's problems. Why? You never see them kick off when they beat us.
Yeah.
Now that they've lost twice against us, no champion likes it, Curtis. No champion likes it when they get beat, let alone by a team who they know is coming. We're coming for them.
Yeah.
So they don't want to get beat by us, and they get beat by us. So that's why they've got to try and flex their muscles. They don't like it. So fair play to Arsenal for doing it. And you know what? Keeping them to a clean sheet, keeping a clean sheet against them is huge.
You're right, Kev. And like you said, man, I think when we beat them in the Community Shield, it was Pep doesn't care about that. You beat them on penalties. You know, it wasn't inside 90 minutes. It's starting to feel to me now when Klopp started to get under Pep's skin a little bit and they was having arguments and the players and a little rivalry was building. I feel like now Arsenal and City are starting to dislike each other a bit. And I think that shows Pep's looking at us a bit now, like you're starting to bother me a little bit now. And I love that personally.
It's respect.
Yeah.
It's respect. Look at Sir Alex Ferguson and Arsene Wenger. They had that, didn't they? They battled.
Yeah.
You know, we've had it with Liverpool back in the day when I was playing.
Yeah.
And then obviously United started coming into it. Then you look now, Liverpool and Manchester City, you've had it. Now we're coming. All of a sudden, the players are kicking off. Pep Guardiola's not happy. He's having to fend, all these defeats. Yeah, we want more of that, Curtis. We want more of that. But you know what will get them even more worried? Again, we start adding firepower.
Yeah. Listen.
Even more firepower. Because you know what? That's one thing they've got.
Yeah.
One thing Liverpool have got. That's why Liverpool went toe-to-toe with them, because Liverpool had the firepower. We've got the defense. We've got the midfield. At times, we're just not clicking sometimes at the top end of the pitch.
Yeah.
So what do? We should be able to change and be flexible, no matter who we play. And I'm sure Edu and Mikel Arteta are cooking. Listen, they're chopping up all the veg.
Yeah.
They're bracking up the garlic. They're putting everything. They're laying out all the seasoning.
Yeah. It's there
For Jan. Has to be.
It's got to be a cookout in January, that's for sure. But yeah, listen, big up Kev, big up everyone locked in. We're only on about 500 likes, so there's nearly 2,000 of you in it.
Come on, we need 1,000 minimum. Come on,
easily 1,000. Couple things I want to touch on before we're going to speak about the striker in January, definitely. One thing I want to ask you about is Kai Havertz. It's obviously been a big talking point, and I hadn't had you on since the start of the season, so I wanted to ask you about that. There was a lot of question marks over the signing in the first place. Big money for a guy that hasn't really hit the ground at Chelsea. Is he a striker? Is he a midfielder? Is he a winger? Plays in all of them. He's been in for a lot of criticism, but he obviously got that assist at the weekend, which you hope gives him a little confidence boost. What do you make of him and that signing, and how you think we manage him from this point? What's your general feeling about Havertz?
I do. I rate Kai Havertz. I think he's a good player. I think we probably sometimes put too much onus on a Kai Havertz because I'm not too sure what the Arsenal fans expect from him, because he's asked to do different things in our squad. He's coming from Chelsea, which we know is always a difficult move.
Yeah.
Saka, who had his best season at Arsenal, obviously left, and everybody then correlates it. He's just going to come in and pick up the baton from where Saka was. Saka done a lot of different things for this team, Curtis, and he'd been at the club a number of years, so he was comfortable in it, got pushed a little bit further forward, and he excelled last season. But it took Xhaka, what is it, 4 years, 5 years to really get to that spot. Yeah, I'm sure many of the Arsenal fans wouldn't have spent 65 million on Kai Havertz. The manager sees something in him. I think it's the ease of play, the continuity of him, wherever he plays, whether he plays as a number 9, whether he plays in the midfield, the continuity of getting the ball, passing it, moving it. He makes us a little bit more fluid. But ultimately, the Gooners will judge him on goals and assists and all this kind of thing. Even with Kai Havertz in the team, and he hasn't played great, and he hasn't been terrible all the time. Even with that, we've still started off better than we did last season.
Yeah.
Points wise. Are we playing anywhere near we was? No, we're not. But that's the key. The key is we're not supposed to be playing our best football now. We want to be playing our best football next year, from January to the end. Now, Curtis, I remember people when Man City signed Jack Grealish, and people saying, what a flop at 100 million. Jack Grealish didn't get it until his second season. And I'm not saying that's going to happen to Havertz. But guys, I just think we have to be team orientated first. Let's not batter him because what? He's not scoring 5 goals a game, or he's not this type of player anyway. He's not picking up the ball and beating 3 players. That's not the type of player he is. I've actually seen times where he's made good runs and he hasn't got the ball. As you know, as a striker, Curtis, sometimes that happens. So everybody's got to know each other's games a little more for Kai Havertz to thrive. I believe he will thrive, but it's going to take a little bit of time. I thought when he came on at the weekend, I thought he made a difference to us at the top end of the pitch. Somebody who could get hold of the ball. He could have put Jesus in, couldn't he? He could have moved Jesus in the middle. Didn't do that. He put Kai Havertz up there. Kai Havertz done his job, resisted Aki's challenge, laid it for Martinelli. He didn't even have to change his stride. Run up, hit it. Maybe that's something that people won't appreciate. But as a striker, you would appreciate being able to run up and hit that ball first time on the layback. So maybe there's little things that people don't see that players appreciate. And obviously, we want our £65 million player to be ripping it up. Of course we do. But he's not at the moment. And offensively, we're not ripping it up at the moment. So it's going to take a bit of time, Curtis.
Kev, just a couple points back that obviously a lot of people are saying. I get what you're saying with Grealish. And even now, I don't think you see the excitement of Grealish that you saw at Villa. But I suppose where a lot of the Arsenal fans have worried is people feel we signed him from Chelsea when he wasn't even ripping up trees there. You know, Grealish was on fire at Villa when City bought him. So people thought he'll get there eventually. Do you think with Havertz, he's better up front than he is in that attacking midfield role? Because to me, he looks like when he's at the top end of the pitch, he can hold up the ball, he can link up play, he doesn't have to defend as much. I feel like he can affect the game more. When he's in midfield, I'm almost like, you know, defensively, he's putting in a bit of a shift, but that's not what you want to see him doing. And going forward, he's not really affecting it. So where do you think if he is in the team, he fits best?
I think he fits best wherever the manager wants to play him, Curtis. The bottom line is he can play, I think he could play both positions. He started the Community Shield up top. He's played in midfield. And when he's played properly, we've had the best start. Yeah, he hasn't ripped trees up, but he hasn't been awful. So it seems like every bad ball he plays gets magnified. But I've seen people make a lot more mistakes than Havertz and not get called out. But that's the life of a £65 million signing at Arsenal sometimes. And I've been at the ground. And what happens at the ground to what happens on social media is very different, Curtis. On social media, You would think Kai Havertz is stinking the place out left, right, and centre, costing us week in, week out. He's not. He's not. He does put a shift in. He is a continuity player. It's just taking him longer to settle into what the manager wants him to do. And here's the other thing. What the manager's asking him to do is different to what he asked Xhaka to do. So he must be doing what the manager wants him to do. But hey, our squad is about having a flexible squad now. Not everybody's going to play every week. That's for sure. And Havertz ain't going to play every week. But when he does play, I think we don't use him enough, if I'm honest with you, because somebody of that height, we should be starting to get crosses in towards him, but we don't. So, again, if you've got a weapon to use, you've got to try and use it as best to your best of abilities. But we're still, obviously, we're only 8 games in. We're trying to work him out. He's working us out. We're trying to work him out. And it's work in progress, unfortunately, Curtis.
Yeah, I mean, I think the problem is that midfield last season was so productive for us. You had Xhaka and Partey next to each other, very solid. Odegaard was in the space in front, and I think people felt Rice for Xhaka and that midfield would go again. We've kind of changed, especially when Partey's been injured, Rice by himself and then Havertz and Odegaard in front. I think a lot of people feel like Havertz, the role he's playing in the team and what he's doing or not doing has kind of weakened us. Would you say that's fair, that we've looked a bit more disjointed with him in the team?
Like I said at the start, we haven't been as free flowing and as expansive as we were last season. That's for sure. But the crazy thing is, Curtis, we've got better points
than last season.
Than we have last season, and we're playing nowhere as well. So that means to me, our ceiling is a lot higher than last season. That's what that says to me, because the moment Martinelli starts playing to the potential, Saka starts playing to the potential, Jesus, Havertz, Odegaard, all of a sudden we're going to be a serious threat. And that's with having one either Declan Rice in there or Partey, or even if you took Havertz out, even if you had Rice and Partey in there. I think the flexibility is the key, because, Curtis, we're going to play against a lot of teams who don't attack us at the Emirates.
Yeah.
So playing a double pivot, it's not worth it. Because we're going to have so much of the ball, we're going to be able to overload them at the top end of the pitch. That's where we've got to use Havertz properly. Yeah, against a team like Manchester City, I think if Jorginho done well for 70 minutes, by the way. But if Partey was fit, Partey and Rice would have played 100%. 100%. So I think, and this is all about depth to our squad. We've got to have the depth in order to be able to change. Havertz came on with Tommy Arsenal and Thomas Partey. Martinelli came in the second half, and our substitutions made a difference to us. There's going to be times where all of those 4 players start, and it might be somebody else. It might be ESR who has to come in and make a difference. It's a squad thing now, Curtis. It's a squad game. It really is.
Yeah, I mean, listen, for me, and I see people that for me, listen, I've said a lot about Havertz on this channel. So far, I've been disappointed with the signing. I think for the amount of money he cost, we could have bought somebody who could have had an effect quicker on the team, or had a definitive role in the team. Where I almost
hoping, Curtis.
But when that's
hoping, because you don't know. This is
the
whole thing.
Know. But that's football, isn't it?
But exactly.
Nobody knows.
Exactly. And here's the other thing. This is the most important thing. Sorry to cut across you.
No, go on.
It's up to the manager to spot what he wants. We're on the outside looking in. We could have our opinion. Of course we do. And what we think But the manager's getting it done, and we're not playing nowhere near as well as we were, but we're a lot more difficult to play against. That's because of the manager. Not free flowing and all that and end up with nothing. No. We are a lot more dominant. We're a lot tougher to beat. And we've had a better start than we did last season. Work that one out. And we're still unhappy. Brilliant.
But I think that's good though, isn't it? Because the demand's gone up, you know. So now we're like, yo, we're trying to win the league now.
Exactly, Curtis. Exactly. What we're complaining about and what people are complaining about are small things. Oh, 65 million is not doing this. What's more important, the results or the 65 million pound player who's part of a winning squad? I'll take that all day long. Because I want to win it. I want to win it all.
You do agree he needs to do more though, don't he?
100%. Like I've said, he's got to find his feet. 100%. But we're 8 games in, Curtis. There's another 30 left, mate. It's a long way to go.
Well, I've got a feeling later on in the season, you know, we'll be talking about Havertz more. Hopefully, you know, he kicks into gear.
Curtis,
I hope he does.
Curtis, me and you, here we go again, Curtis.
We'll leave that one in the back burner, you know. Big up everyone locked in, over 2,000 of you here now.
How many likes, Curtis? How many likes?
What we on? We're on 650 likes.
Oh,
so we got to get more than that.
Come on.
We got to get more than that. You know what I mean? And listen, I want to talk to you about another topic that's been, you know, there's been two sides to this argument or debate as well. Saka. And obviously he's picked up this injury that they don't think is going to keep him out for too long. But, you know, on social media, there's been a lot of debate about Saka being overplayed. Should he have been rested at times or substituted earlier in games? I think he played 87 consecutive games for Arsenal without injury. What's your feeling on Saka and the amount of game time he's played? People saying there's not another right winger putting enough pressure on him. What's your feeling on the whole Saka situation?
My feeling is Saka wants to play. And when you're a top player, you play. He's 22 years old. There's no rest. There's 8 games gone this season and he's played 7. Curtis, how are we going to be resting him? How are we going to be rested? I don't get it. You know, go to Bournemouth. Oh, Saka shouldn't have played. The next minute, Saka should have come. No, he came off because he was injured. But when you're a top player, you want to play. Yeah. You want to play every game. And because this all adds to your legacy. He wants to be that type of player who you can always rely on. That's the type of player he wants to be. He doesn't want to be somebody who sat on the bench because he wants to be involved in it. Do you know what I mean? That's the type of guy he is. And, you know, testimony to him that he could play 87 straight consecutive games. But it was always going to come to an end at some stage, Curtis. Maybe the way it's come to an end wasn't great. But I think Saka had a fitness test and failed it because he traveled.
On the weekend.
The weekend. I think he thought they thought he would be all right. He failed his fitness test, and you could see how gutted he was to not be involved. He's pleased for the team, but that's a young man who's carried this team for a couple of seasons. He wants to play every game, Curtis. He don't want to give anybody else a chance to play. But I thought Jesus done really well on Sunday in his space. And Jesus likes to play through the middle, as you know, so he can float and move around. But I thought he was outstanding on the right. And maybe, as we're going to get talking about what's to come, that might be a crease that we look at moving forward at times.
It's a tough one, isn't it? Because I mean, listen, I never played at the level you played at, and Saka and them. For me personally, I never ever wanted to be rested. You know, training was the game was everything you lived and breathed for the whole week. Resting me was a nightmare if I heard that. But you know, these guys are playing 60 games a season and stuff like that. Do they need? People are saying for their own good sometimes. Does the manager need to pull them out? Or because you've seen Jack Wilshere's and people said at a young age, too much game time. I don't know. Has the game changed, Kev? Do they need to be rotated more?
Curtis, listen. Let me just say this to you.
Go on. I'm just sitting back, Kev. Go on.
Let me just say this to you. The medical side has never been as good. The health and the recovery side has never been as good. The pitches has never been as good. You can't really tackle. You can't really get physical with attacking players like you used to be able to. Why wouldn't you play on? Why wouldn't you play? Because all the recovery that they got and they've got everything going for them now. So if your body breaks down, that's something wrong with your body. You should be able to play 50, 60 games a season comfortably. You should. Or be involved in 50, 60. I don't think Saka's played 60 games in one season. No chance. Because we haven't gone deep in a lot of the cups, if you understand what I mean. We haven't gone deep in a lot of the cups over the years. So
there was including England games in that, I think.
But even England, there's not crazy amounts of games for England. Do you know what I mean? England have gone deep in tournaments, which is great.
Yeah.
But the fact of the matter is, we're talking about the league season. Saka hasn't played 60 games or 50, 57 games or whatever in a season. I don't believe. Yeah, but everybody else, remember, who probably has played 60 games, then still have to go for their internationals. So for me, 22-year-old, he's got everything going for him. There's the full recovery suite. Have you been in that dressing room, man? They've got the plunge pools. They've got the masseurs. They've got, you name it, they've got it. Everything to recover him. And that's why you could play game after game after game after game. Guys, you can't be tired. You can't be saying he's got to be rested after 7, 8 games. No chance. No way. No chance.
I mean, Kev, I seen a thing the other day on Sky saying there's a higher amount of muscular injuries this season than in recent years. Do you feel that? Do you think the World Cup last year had anything to do with that? Why do you think we're seeing a lot more injuries this season?
Potentially, Curtis. Yeah, potentially. You could say that. But that's all, I suppose, that all comes down to the strength and conditioning. Because the strength and conditioning, if you've had a long enough rest, and you come back and you do your strength and conditioning, you should be all right. Because a muscular injury, obviously, there's a weakness.
Yeah.
So if you haven't done your strength and conditioning, or you're not recovering properly after games, because don't forget, guys, you're not only playing, you're training all the time as well. And sometimes in training, you might get a little nick here and there, and you're always, very rarely, you're 100%. Very rarely a player is 100%. So again, this comes down to the individual player, Curtis, where there might be a day where a Saka gets more of a recovery day. Do you understand what I mean? Because he's played international football a bit more and stuff like that. And listen, they wear these monitors. And everything is down to the nth degree of how they're tested. So the bottom line is sometimes you just can't stop injuries. Unfortunately, no matter how much S&C you do, which is strength and conditioning, no matter how much you do, injuries will pop up because you're constantly at the grindstone.
Do you think that Saka needs a bit more competition on that side? Because a lot of the time, towards the end of games, he has looked tired. I don't know if it's just if he just has a look about him. He's obviously putting in a shift week after week. People saying, listen, you playing for a big club, you know yourself. You played up front for Arsenal. There was competition, kept you on your
everywhere.
toes.
Yeah,
It
yeah,
feels
everywhere.
like Saka knows if I'm fit, I'm playing. And if I'm playing, I'm probably not getting taken off because there's no real right winger there that's on his case. We got more left wingers. So do you think we could do with going? I mean, we're being linked at the moment with Neto at Wolves. Would you like to see another right winger come in there?
Of course. I think competition's great. I think being able to rest Saka, keep Saka on the bench at times, because we got Champions League game in the week. He doesn't have to start on the Saturday. We call it rest. Others will say we drop him. No problem.
Yeah.
Because it's a squad. It's a squad game, Curtis. You got Neto in the team. Neto's a threat. Neto's a threat. And if you're a fullback, you got Neto for 70 minutes, and then Saka's going to come on and shake his legs out for 20, and you're thinking, oh, no.
It's a long day.
It's a long day, and then Saka plays the next game, and then, there might be a potential of Saka, you come off after 70, and then Neto comes on for 20. All of a sudden, it's headaches all round.
Yeah.
So we've got to be able to be flexible with that. I think the key is bringing real quality in. If you could bring real quality in, so the level doesn't diminish, because Neto plays on that side, but I think he's a different player to Saka.
He is, yeah.
Neto's a burner, where Saka could wear you out, and then you get the burner on, man's hamstrings are going. You know what I mean? That's whoa, time out, take me off. So it's how we utilize this stuff. And look, we're talking about Neto. We've been linked with Neto for a couple of times. He's had his injury problems, but I mean, look what he done to Man City for Wolves.
Ripped them up.
He tore them to pieces with that pace and that directness. Somebody like him, who's different to Saka, I think will be a really good addition to our squad.
I just want to ask you, and you're probably the ideal guy to ask. There's been this rumor for a long time after something that Rio Ferdinand said about the Arsenal training ground being like rock hard or something. Is that a conspiracy theory, or is there anything in that? I'm just, Kev. I'm just.
No, I know you're bringing it to me. Look, people could talk about hard, and there's nothing you could. The Arsenal training ground is immaculate and outstanding. It's immaculate and outstanding. Sometimes it's going to be hard because when you don't get enough rain, enough water, and you just can't keep putting the sprinklers on every time, you just can't do it, because when it's warm, it dries it out.
Yeah.
Here's the thing. A lot of it comes down to players taking care of their bodies, and majority of the time, I mean, you look at under Wenger, we suffered big time.
Yeah.
We do have our moments now, but I think about a week ago, 2 weeks ago, we had an injury crisis, Curtis. Didn't we? We had an injury crisis.
Yeah.
Now we got players coming back and everything's starting to look a little bit better. I think it's too easy just to say it's the training ground. No, it's not the training ground. The players have to look after themselves. The players are get well looked after, but sometimes bad things happen. Bad things happened to us at the end of last season, where Saliba went down with his back and we couldn't get him back. We couldn't take the risk, Curtis. We couldn't take the risk of him because we might not have had him at the start of this season. So, and that what happened in a game, not the training ground. So again, injuries are going to happen. It's all part and parcel of the sport. But Arsenal's training ground is one of the best out there. So
there you go, straight from the horse's mouth.
It's not the training ground.
Another situation. We've got plenty to talk about here. Is obviously the goalkeeper situation at the moment. Listen, I don't have in fact, I want competition all over the pitch. I want players, good players, to be on the bench sometimes, or all the time. So, but a lot of people say with goalkeepers, it's a bit different. If you've got two right wingers, a right winger's likely to come on during the game, get some game time. With a goalkeeper, how do you see that situation? He said at the weekend, blame me. He said, I wanted David Raya to hold the ball longer to draw City onto him so that he could play over them and through them. Obviously, nearly led to a mistake, but he was much better in the second half. Do you think it's a sustainable situation having two goalkeepers of that quality, or do you feel one of them, maybe Ramsdale, ends up moving on in the future?
I hope it's sustainable. If I'm really honest with you, I think Ramsdale, as many will say, Ramsdale's done nothing wrong. Ramsdale's attitude's right. He came in for the Brentford game in the cup and was
Yeah.
absolutely outstanding. Could have easily started against Spurs. Could have easily started against Man City. But I think the manager's preference, because of what he wants the goalkeeper to do, to really take that risk. And let's be honest, Raya nearly cost us by taking that risk. What the manager said, I want him to slow it down. And he played a couple of balls into Declan Rice where Kovacic was on him.
Yeah.
And obviously, when Kovacic done that tackle and should have been sent off for the second bookable, that was another pass from Raya where, Declan Rice dealt with it. But that's what kept City coming in. And then you saw they adjusted and he started hitting longer. And we were actually getting out with the longer ball. So sometimes you have to force the opposition to keep coming, and then you could play out. Listen, I just think the manager, his preference is David Raya. Let's be real. His preference is David Raya right now.
Yeah.
He can always change. But when you've got two quality keepers, Curtis, here's the problem. If Ramsdale leaves, let's just say Ramsdale leaves. Who do you bring in that you can say, go straight into the team and we don't miss a beat? It's hard to get good goalkeepers. You remember when Emi Martinez and Leno was there? We was like, keep both of them because they're both great goalkeepers. Martinez weren't having it. He says, I want to be number one somewhere. And he went on and he's done great for himself. Brilliant. We then brought Ramsdale in. Leno couldn't handle it. The key is you've got to have quality cover. But the crazy thing about football is, Curtis, as you well know, it only takes one injury to Raya for Ramsdale to be right back in that spot as the number one. That's all it takes. One injury or one rash decision and a sending off, and Ramsdale's back in, and it all changes again. So I love the fact we've got two quality number one keepers, but the manager has to prefer one, unfortunately. And right now, Raya is his number one. Not saying that Raya has performed better than Ramsdale is.
Yeah.
But the manager has to make a decision, and he has.
It's crazy when you look around the world at the cities, Madrids. None of them really have two goalkeepers who you would say, oh, they're on a similar level. It seems a very difficult thing to do. You got Ederson, Ortega's good, but Ederson, you got Alisson. Madrid have got Courtois. I think they brought Kepa in on loan. It seems like, I don't know, just to me, it feels like if you're Aaron Ramsdale and you're in this situation at the end of the season with a Euros at the end of the season, it feels like it will be difficult to maintain over a long period of time.
Guys, Raya's only on loan.
Yeah, he is.
And that's the other thing. Raya's only on loan. Who knows what's going to happen for the rest of the season? So we're kind of jumping the gun to the end and making up decisions for Ramsdale when realistically, let's see how this season plays out. Because one thing about football I know and you know and probably everybody in the chat knows, it can change in a week. One decision or one mistake, everything changes.
At this moment, just last question on that. Do you feel like there's a better one out of the two, or do you just think they're on a similar level?
I think they're pretty even. Obviously, I think the fact of the matter is, we've been fed Raya's better with the ball at his feet. I think Ramsdale's good with the ball at his feet.
Mm,
Raya's better with his ball at his feet, and we've seen Raya make some mistakes. Let's be honest, he has made some mistakes with the ball at his feet. But you tell me a keeper who don't make mistakes with the ball at his feet. The key is, can he keep his cool under pressure and keep doing what the manager wants and come over it, get out of
yeah,
it. And Raya seems to, it doesn't phase him, Curtis. Whereas, if I'm honest, there's times where Ramsdale makes a couple of mistakes and then all of a sudden he looks a little bit wobbly at times.
mm,
Raya makes the mistakes and he's right back at it. He don't business. So maybe that's the only little difference. But for the manager, it's a big one.
yeah, 100%. But it'd be interesting to see how it plays out. Big up everyone locked in again. 2.5K in the chat. Great numbers, lots of interaction. They're happy to have you on, Kev. Let's talk about January, of course. Because the first thing I said on Monday, I said, listen, big win. Let's enjoy it for the international break. But already I'm thinking we need to really try and win that title now. We need to go in January and say, bring in a game changer. Maybe even fast forward a summer transfer to January and see if we can catch this City team out. Do you know what I mean? And you, listen, again, no better man to talk about. Former Arsenal striker. Like you said, the one thing City have got that we haven't got is they got that goal machine up front who, I don't know if Saliba's let him out the pocket yet, but we know. There's a lot of talk about Ivan Toney. There's some talk about Osimhen, but would Arsenal go to that level? I don't know. What would you like to see Arsenal do in January? And who would you like to see us go for? I can see the smile. Look, they're saying I can see the cheeky smile already.
Curtis, realistically,
yeah.
we want them all, don't we? We want Osimhen, we want Toney, we want Neto.
Yeah.
Here's the crazy thing. If we get, obviously come down and we get real, you can get Ivan Toney and Neto for virtually the money that you'll spend on Osimhen.
Yeah.
Right? Osimhen, quality player that he is, top class. He's never played in the Premier League. Will he automatically just transition to the Premier League like that? We don't know. Two players who we know can come in and hit the ground running is Toney and Neto. The key is, I think 60 million, you take Toney all day long. 80, do we pay 80 million? I think if somebody said you pay 80 million and you win the title, you pay it, don't you?
Yeah, of course.
You pay 80 million. There seems to be a good relationship between Arsenal and Brentford right now.
Yeah.
So negotiation, we've got your goalkeeper here. We're looking after him. Obviously, listen, we could make it near on 100 million come a certain time. If we're going to take both players, I think Brentford will be happy with that. Curtis, if you get Neto as well, you've solved the problem of the Saka dilemma. You've also solved the problem of Martinelli because Neto can play on that side as well. And if you really want to rest the two of them, Jesus can always do a job either side. But I think Toney's the key because he offers that big, strong striker who can put the ball away that will cause Man City problems. We've seen him cause Man City and Liverpool and all these teams problems playing for Brentford. We could bypass the midfield, pretty much like what Man City done to us last season at the Etihad, especially. Bypass the midfield and hit Haaland, and they could. Holding couldn't handle it. We know we can do that with Toney because Toney's already done that against these defenders at Man City. Because you got to go for who's the top. He's done it against Liverpool. He's done it against City. He's done it against Chelsea. He's done it against a lot of the top teams already. So if there's one player out of all these I could say is the priority, it's got to be Toney. It has to be. And Jesus has already said he wants to be the number 9, but for this team, he's happy to play anywhere to get the job done. And that's what we might need, Curtis.
Yeah.
We need flexibility, and there's times where maybe we don't start Toney. But when it really comes down to the big games, you want the players on the pitch who the opposition have to go, how are we going to deal with him? That's what we want. And that's what Ivan Toney brings to us. So 60 to 80 million. Yeah, obviously Brentford are going to want 80.
Yeah.
We'd rather play 60. Can we settle at 70? I'd bring him in, but I would definitely bring in Neto as well.
For me, Kev, I mean, I've been talking about Ivan Toney for a while. I think it feels like a no-brainer. It feels like he's publicly said, I like Arsenal. He's rejected the contracts. We need a striker. He's already in London. Let's face it, he is the only striker in the Premier League that I've actually seen kind of deal with Saliba. He won 10 out of 10 aerial duels against Saliba last season and scored in that game as well. Do you know what I mean? Even Haaland hasn't really dealt with
Saliba. Offside.
He was offside.
They were offside. Speaking of that, that's another VAR decision that went against us.
Well,
anyway, sorry.
I got VARs here. Don't worry.
Yeah, sorry. I'm not. Listen, I'm still bitter about that one, Curtis. But you're right. He did. He did play very well, and gave Saliba trouble. He did.
Yeah, it's a no-brainer. A lot of people in the comments, Kevin, are asking about Eddie and Ketty. I mean, some people saying throw Eddie in the deal with cash. England international would probably appeal to Brentford. I want to know your thoughts just briefly on Eddie, because I do support Eddie, and I want him to do well, and he has improved. I've said that openly. He's definitely improved. England international now, fair play to him. But I just always have this feeling with Eddie that he's just not quite at the level for Arsenal. And if you're bringing in an Ivan Toney and you've got Jesus and Havertz can play up there as well, do you really need Eddie as well on 100 grand when you could probably sell him and offset probably half of that Ivan Toney deal? What's your thoughts on Eddie and where he's at Arsenal?
I think Eddie's done all right. I think Eddie has improved. Eddie can come in and do a job. But I think where we're going, we need more than just do a job.
Yeah.
We need people who the opposition not only going to respect, but fear. I think against other teams, they can fear Arsenal. Not necessarily they fear Eddie, but they fear Arsenal. But when you're up against Manchester City, I think they're happy that Eddie's playing. And not Jesus. Do you understand? And not Havertz. Yeah. I think they're happier with Eddie because Eddie doesn't have the all-round game that the others have.
Yeah.
As strikers, we know Eddie's willing, he works hard, he'll chase, he'll harass, but you need that type of game where you can get up against people and pin them and make life difficult for them. Eddie just doesn't have that type of game. So if we're going to be moving forward and moving up the levels, we've got to be having people who can come on, who can create and cause chaos and havoc. And I think if we go for Toney, I think, listen, the world's brutal. I think we can then move Eddie on. Because that's what you have to look at. If we're bringing another striker in the building, all of a sudden we've got 3 guys who you've bought who can play up there. Eddie may be surplus to requirements.
Yeah.
Especially when you only play one through the middle. So I think that might be something that we look at if Ivan Toney were to come.
Yeah, no, listen, and that's what I'm saying. You've been there, aren't you? You've been in a team that's win the league. I'm sure you've finished seasons and your manager's got rid of a player and you're going, oof, that's
Not
you
only that,
know,
Curtis, we won the league, and you're thinking, great, starting the next season, we're on. The next minute, Ian Wright walks in the building. Because you have to keep adding the pieces.
yeah,
You've got to keep improving and adding the pieces. So what does that do? Everybody else has to be on their toes, and everybody else has to improve, and you become better players because Wright is in the building. So if an Ivan Toney comes in, when Jesus came in, we went another level. This is when Ivan Toney, if he comes in, or Osimhen or whatever, if they come in, then he takes us to another level. Why? Because he's somebody you can trust and he's going to get the goals. And that's no disrespect to Eddie, because I like Eddie. I think Eddie works hard. I think Eddie's a decent striker. But the level that we're going, we really need difference makers.
yeah. No, listen, I totally agree, man. It pushes your level up, don't it? You know what I mean? It's sink or swim. A top player comes in, you can either throw your toys out the pram and leave, or you go, I gotta get down to business here and
Bring
go
it
up
on.
another level.
Yeah.
Do you know what I mean? So, but the Toney one just feels like a no-brainer. Do you know what I mean? I hope Edu and them get that one done. A lot of people were saying, because Toney's a bit of a big character and he says things on social media and the betting ban.
Well,
Do you
that'll
think?
stop. That'll stop. That'll stop. He's coming to the Arsenal, Curtis. And Ivan Toney, he doesn't know what it's like on the inside
Yeah,
at the Arsenal. Doesn't realise how big a club Arsenal are. From the outside looking in, he'll banter fans and all that kind of thing and blah, blah, blah. But when you get inside that building and your social media numbers take
treble.
off,
Yeah.
and you realise the enormity of our football club, Curtis.
Do you know what I think?
You're more concentrated on your job.
Yeah,
Do you know what I mean? That's the key. You'd be more concentrated on your job, because I tell you, the club we support is the best. It's the best. And any player who's been at Arsenal, who's left Arsenal, will tell you they get treated the best at Arsenal. And that's the type of characters we need to come in. You want to come into this group? I don't think we sign any player who doesn't want to be part of the group, or is going to ever cause a problem within the group. No. They will be doing their homework. They will speak to the player. This is what it's like here. And when you come into this Arsenal group and you know the level of what's going on in there, Ivan Toney will have England aspirations. He comes to Arsenal, he's automatically in the England squad.
He's in the England
automatic.
Squad, yeah.
So again, you don't get there by causing a problem.
Yeah.
You get there by doing the business on the pitch. And that's what this squad is all about now. It's not about me. It's about we. And by the way, the fans are involved in that as well.
I think he'd be a fan favourite, Ivan Toney. Just the character he is, the celebrations, he's got a bit of ego about him as well, which top players tend to have. So, yeah.
Striker. He's a striker.
Yeah.
That's what we want.
Yeah.
We want the celebrations because we want him scoring, Curtis.
Yeah.
We want Arsenal winning and him scoring if he comes, or whoever plays. We want Arsenal winning. That's why the stadium is the 12th man right now, because it's been incredible, the transformation. But away fans used to sing, "Is this a library?" I haven't heard that. I haven't heard that for time.
Kev, do you know what? I'm so shameless with it. When that North London Forever song came out at the start, I was like, boy, man, I don't know. That song's a bit soft, man. Do you know what I mean? And I'm there now. Before the game, I'm like, no, London.
Guys, he's singing it. Sing it, bro. Sing it.
I'm telling you, man. I'm telling you. But hey, man. After the international break, we've got Chelsea at Stamford Bridge. There's another international break next month as well, which I didn't even realise. But Champions League, Seville away. We've got West Ham in the Carabao Cup as well. How, like, a lot of people are saying, what does a successful season look like for Arsenal
Silverware.
this season?
Got to be
Take
silverware.
it away. Take it away.
Got to be silverware, guys. Got to be silverware. Without silverware, what have you got? Team picture with nothing in front of you.
Kev, I'm glad you're doing this, because go on.
But it's serious. I mean, I'm serious about this. We got a little taste for the Community Shield, which many people would say, oh, that's just a Community Shield. But you know something, Curtis? If you win 1 or 2 trophies, and then you got that team picture and the Community Shield's there as well,
yeah,
you've had a successful season.
Yeah.
But with no silverware and just the Community Shield there, you don't even want the team picture.
What about win the dog, Kev?
It's all about the players, Curtis, not the dogs.
It's not the dog, no.
Not the dog, mate. Not the dog. But you know what? Listen, it's a nice touch within the group and all that. Great. But at the end of the day, it's about silverware, Curtis. We've missed out on silverware a few years. Arteta has won silverware, which is good. But we're not building this squad just for kicks. We're building it to win, and we want to be winners. And we believe if we had the right firepower, that will give us the best chance to win, especially Toney won't be cup tied.
Yeah, that's a good point. Yeah.
That's another thought. Because if we're looking to go deep in, some of these trophies, he's not cup tied or whatever, so he can play. So it's really important that, we do go out there and we get the weapons that we need. Because do you know what, Curtis, if we get to the end and we haven't invested in the weapons and we falter just because we haven't brought the weapons in, we're going to go crazy. That's when the shitty really comes out.
Yeah.
Do you know what I mean? So I think they've looked at it now and they could see. You could see against City. We need firepower. We need to be able to change it and bring firepower. As soon as we make a change, all of a sudden we score. It does make a huge difference.
I think Thomas Partey is a difference maker to this team, isn't he? I think even that long ball that he plays up to Tomiyasu, just hitting that diag, and it just Jorginho had a good game, but when Partey came on, it felt like, we've gone up another level here.
His vision. And do you know what? I've got to give Tomiyasu some credit as well. He's our left back. What's he doing? What's he doing in between Kyle Walker and Diaz? But it's something they've obviously worked on because he's up there and he just guided the header into Havertz, didn't he?
He did.
Havertz held it, put it back, and then Martinelli shot. So it's something that the subs were fully locked in. They came on. They made a difference. And listen, that Doku, we've seen Doku run rings around certain people. Yeah. Zinchenko put a couple of tackles on. Then they brought on Tomiyasu. He didn't want none of that. Then he went over the other side to Ben White, and he got nothing over there. That's the type of performances we want. We want that output from our players. And if you can help going forward, help us. And Tomiyasu, one thing he is, he's good in the air. He goes up front. Perfect pass by Thomas Partey. But again, that's something else that Thomas Partey brings that maybe Jorginho doesn't.
Yeah.
But we know Thomas Partey has that in the locker. But the only thing is he's just been coming back. So our flexibility and depth now, Curtis, we have got it. We have got that depth. So, the nutmeg, Gunnar Graham, was sweet. On Ben White's nutmeg was sweet.
I was going mad.
That was before the goal, obviously. But we need game changers. We need impactors to come off the bench. We need flexibility with our squad. We need everybody to buy in. We need a 12-man to buy in and support everybody. And that's what we get. And if the team perform like they did on Sunday, it's going to take some team to beat us, I tell you.
I'm going to have to round up in the next few minutes. I've got to do the school run. I didn't think I had to do it, but I just wanted to say that listen, me and you have had long arguments, debates, friendly debates about the manager over the past few years. But I've got to admit, and I gave him the green screen on Monday, which was a big moment for this
What?
channel. He got the
Did he
green
get the
screen.
green
He
screen?
got the green screen. For
Jeez.
me, Sunday, like I said, wasn't the most exciting game we've ever watched, but tactically, I thought Arteta absolutely nailed it. To bring on 4 substitutes and they all touch the ball in a build up to a goal, and it's just, I thought, do you know what, man? You're learning. You know what I mean? The apprenticeship's done now. You know what I mean? You sent in the CV. You've started work. You're at work now. You know what I mean? You outdid the master at work there. So I am going to give him his flowers as well, because that was tactically was brilliant from Arteta.
Can I ask you a question, Curtis?
Go on.
Did Arteta give the cones back?
I think he handed him back. You know what I mean? He said, I don't need the cones no more.
Right.
The water
Thank
bottles.
you. He handed the cones back. But do you know what, Curtis? He could have brought those 4 players on and it not gone like that. The key is there's a buy-in from the players to deliver. Because when you're on the bench, you want to get on, but you've got to make an impact. So those boys came on and they done him proud. They done us proud. And they helped get us over the line against Man City, which is fantastic. Pep, here's your cones back. You could see Man City players kicking off at the end. How sweet. How sweet was that?
Beautiful. It's beautiful. Do you know what I love even more? I don't know if you've heard the full story. That Nicholas Jova, who obviously used to work for Man City, apparently when they beat us last season, he refused to shake hands with them. He was a bit salty. So we beat him. So he's gone up to Carl Walker. Walker's like, what? Last season you... So, but he was angry. So, but I love that kind of shameless behavior anyway.
Listen, there's an edge to it now, which is what we want. We want a little edge there because you know what? That's the only way you gain respect against the best.
Yeah.
By beating them. You beat them and you beat them enough times and nobody takes a backward step from players to staff to fan base. Everybody's there. That's when the healthy respect is there.
Yeah. Yeah. Kev, listen, really appreciate you coming on. I would have loved to have done the show longer, but you know, Daddy Duty's calling me, so
of course,
I'll hopefully get you on later on in the month, maybe after the international break. But listen, bro, appreciate you coming on. You speak a lot of sense, you know. That's why I always sit back and listen. I don't, you know what I mean, you know your stuff. Always good camaraderie between us. So I appreciate you giving up your time, bro.
Curtis, thanks for having me on as always. It's been too long this time.
Yeah.
And we've got to make sure it isn't too long next time. Thanks, everybody, for being in chat and hit the like button. Don't forget. And Curtis, love to the family and everybody. Take it easy, bro.
Big up, bro. Take care, everyone. I'll be back on tomorrow.